Live and local with coverage you can count on. This is WNEM TV5 News at 11.
Obviously, life is more important than property. You can always replace property.
Those are the words of a local pastor. His thoughts as a man who drove his vehicle right into the church overnight. Thanks for joining us here at WNEM TV5 at 11. I'm Ronnie Duncan.
And I'm Faith Gantner. The damage is scattered across the church lawn after a car struck the front entrance last night. The church still held services today, but many were concerned about the driver, who's recovering in the hospital.
TV5's Elena Holland spoke to the pastor about this bizarre accident.
I just happened to have a member call me and say they saw it, so I clicked over on the news, and yes, it was our church. So
Curtis Johnson is the pastor at Bethlehem Temple Church in Saginaw. When he heard the news a car had driven into the porch of his church, he was shocked. And Johnson knew where the porch is to the road, and he knew it had to be a bad accident.
He had to go airborne to take out all that railing and take out half of the porch up there. So
police told TV5 the truck struck a utility pole before knocking over the railing. The driver was injured and taken to the hospital.
Well, I was just mainly concerned about the church, obviously concerned about the people.
Even though the heat was cut off to the building this morning, service still went on as planned.
We didn't have any heat, we didn't have any phones, didn't have any internet or anything like that, so we're in the process of trying to get those items addressed so that we can have service.
But this wasn't the only car versus building incident on Halloween night. Also in Saginaw, this car drove through a garage door of a house. It also took out part of the chimney. We're told the driver wasn't seriously hurt and alcohol was a factor. As for the church, Johnson says he doesn't know the condition of the driver that drove through the porch, but the congregation is praying for him.
My heart really goes out to him because it's my understanding he's not really doing well, so we're going to be having prayer for him in service today and for his family that everything will be okay. Obviously, life is more important than property. You can always replace property. So
in Saginaw, Elena Holland, WNEM TV5.
Here with TV5 on air and online at WNEM.com for the latest developments on the driver's condition.
The sun made a comeback today. Now, as we take a live look over Saginaw, the wind continues to howl. We saw wind gusts at nearly 30 miles an hour throughout mid-Michigan, but the temperatures warmed up today. Meteorologist Chris Easlick is in the First Warn 5 Weather Center with a closer look at the forecast. Hi, Chris.
Hi there, Faith. Yeah, we saw wind gusts all afternoon, but as we go into the evening hours tonight, they have definitely calmed down from where they were. We did see a 40-mile-an-hour wind gust at MBS Airport, everywhere else staying about that 30-degree range. So really not that significant going into the day today. But we are looking at breezy conditions going tomorrow, too. Let's take you to your wind tracker tonight. A much different story going into this evening, about 5 to 10 miles an hour at the most. But many locations have already fallen to calm winds. So that means tomorrow morning fog could be a concern. But the good news is with your visibilities right now, we're all at 10 miles. So things looking a-okay. The expectation is it will be patchy fog. So really nothing that will slow you down too much. Temperatures today were also a big story. We got to the 60s in the Tri-Cities as well as Owasso, Flint, and Lapeer. Everywhere else we're in the upper 50s. Houghton Lake barely got to 50 though. Only 50 degrees for them today. As far as your sky tracker, we are looking at quiet conditions and improving conditions as we go throughout the night tonight. Clouds are decreasing as you go from south to north, and really the weather pattern for the rest of this week looking quiet as well. It's going to be a very nice work week. As you send the kids to the bus stop tomorrow, it's going to be chilly, so send a jacket with them, 42 as they head out the door tomorrow, but you can ditch the jacket by the afternoon. By 3 o'clock, we're looking at temperatures in the middle and upper 60s. Hopefully, it's a great day in the classroom tomorrow. As far as your viewer photos tonight, we saw the sunshine again today, so our viewer photos are awesome. Tammy sent this in from Seawing tonight, a beautiful sunset there. And then Steve sent this one in also from Seawing on Rose Island. Plenty of colors on display this evening. Guys, thank you for sending those in. As far as your weather headlines tonight, we are going to be warming on up this week, but we're in for a 180-degree turn late in the week. We'll time everything out in your hour-by-hour forecast as well as your 7-day forecast coming up in just a little bit.
Chris, thank you. New tonight, a student at a local university is killed after being struck by a hit-and-run driver overnight. Investigators say the student was an 18-year-old freshman at CMU. His name has not been released, but we're told he was from Macomb. Police say the student was struck near Crawford Road while he was walking to his dorm with friends just after midnight. Investigators are looking for more information on the vehicle. It's described as a 4-door, dark-colored sedan with damage to the front passenger side.
And 2 cars were involved in a bad accident in downtown Flint today. The front ends of both cars were smashed at the corner of 2nd and B Street. Now, despite the heavy damage, the drivers involved were shaken up, but there were no injuries.
We're hoping to learn more about a serious crash in Aranac County. A tanker truck hit a parked flatbed trailer while heading northbound on US 23 yesterday. It spilled thousands of gallons of fuel. It happened just south of Tawas City. The accident shut down a 3-mile stretch of road for several hours as crews cleaned up. The driver was injured, but at last check he was awake and alert. The crash remains under investigation.
The Michigan Senate Minority Leader paid a visit to a local church to talk about the water situation in Flint. Jim Ananick spoke at a Unitarian congregation as part of a forum on the Flint water. He laid out his plan to find out what happened and how to move forward from here.
It's better to tell people and not have a problem than the other way around. The exact opposite happened. They just sort of didn't tell people, and I want to know why that happened. And then the next phase is accountability, and the phase after that is remediation. Like, what are we going to do to fix these problems?
Flint recently switched back to Detroit water supply after finding high levels of lead in its water. Still, community advocates expressed concerns about the city's aging infrastructure.
Lawmakers in Lansing continue to struggle with a road funding plan, and now officials in Saginaw County are growing tired of waiting. They're considering putting their own road improvement millage before voters. An informational meeting is planned for tomorrow to look at different options. That meeting is happening tomorrow morning at 8 at the County Road Commission office in Saginaw. Count on TV5 for continuing coverage on the road funding debate on air, online, and on your mobile device.
In less than 2 days, voters will head to the polls for the race for the mayor of Flint. Who will get it? Incumbent Dane Walling is spending Sunday before Election Day going door to door speaking to constituents. We caught up with him at Mott Park, and I asked him what stands between himself and his competition.
You've seen my commitment to this community through some incredibly difficult times. I've stayed in there. I've fought for Flint every single day when other people were going in other directions. I've been there. I've tried. I'm trusted, and I want to leave this city forward for the next 4 years.
Meanwhile, the challenger, Dr. Karen Weaver, was at Vernon Chapel AME Church this morning. She says this election is about reestablishing trust with the residents of Flint.
A huge issue is the broken trust, and that's something that, we didn't deserve, was broken trust. If the water was bad, tell us the water's bad. And I think that's what really moved a lot of people. We need somebody that's going to be truthful and honest and speak up for us.
And remember, TV5 is your home for election results from around mid-Michigan, and we'll have those results Tuesday starting at 10 o'clock on TV5, My 5, and again right here on TV5 at 11.
The Detroit Lions were across the pond this morning as they took on the Kansas City Chiefs in London. The game at Wembley Stadium may not have been the Lions' best effort, but dedicated fans still woke up early to cheer them on. We spoke to a couple fans at Buffalo Wild Wings during the game and asked about their choice of breakfast for the early morning game.
Just watching the Lions are on early in the morning. I mean, I don't like breakfast food, so wings is a good choice.
And we want to hear from you. How did you watch the Lions game this morning? Share your thoughts on our Facebook page or send us a tweet using the hashtag FastFeedback. Nick Austin will have highlights and post-game reaction from the game in London. That's coming up in Sports Extra.
Breakfast in football isn't bad unless it's Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. Now, that's a good breakfast.
I've never tried that before, but I'll have to now.
All righty.
Sounds good. Comcast is making big moves and bringing a ton of new jobs to Michigan.
And it's all in the hopes of correcting a problem that's plagued the company for years.
And a new homeless shelter is opening here in mid-Michigan for the winter. How it could be a big help to families in need. Now, here's Chris.
Thank you, guys. We saw the sun return today, so we got a nice look at the remaining fall foliage out there. Karen Arnold Burdett sent this one in from Grand Blanc. Your full forecast is just ahead.
I told my husband, I said, I'm really worried about the dogs.
Do you know what's happening to your pet when you drop him off for grooming?
I think they should know their groomer. I think they should ask them if they're licensed.
Are these places inspected by the state, and do they even get licensed? Dog groomer dangers and I-Team report tomorrow at 11.